know, maybe others have felt this way, but it has always been a little bit like I was wearing a shoe that didn't fit in my personal life. Not, again, from like a bad place, but the way that I felt and the way that I lived always seemed very different in context from normal social structures. Like I had, like you had, so much on paper in so many ways, but that wasn't what satisfied me. What satisfied me was true, deep connections with the people that I cared about. But when you're in executive level positions at companies, or you're in these roles that you work so hard to get into, those deep connections really aren't supported, or because getting too close to your staff, that's not seen as good. You have to keep them at a distance in order to be able to let them go if you need to, or in order to instill fear in them to get them to work. And I know we talked with Linda about that a little bit in the last podcast, you know, like fear and pushing and dominating, that was the structure. And again, it came from a place of, we need to get these individuals to work hard. And if we have this structure, then they will. It's a hierarchy. You are in charge for a reason. But that never really felt in alignment. To me, I desired to inspire them, not instill fear in them. And the only way I could inspire them was to connect with them, to know them, to be on the same page with them. Because if I didn't know them, if I didn't know what was going on in their personal lives, then how could I relate to them when they came into work and things were misaligned for them in the office? If I didn't understand that someone was going through a divorce, or someone was navigating the loss of a loved one, or any number of things, then how could I truly create a work environment that would support helping them be the best they could within the office? And so that's where I kind of remembered how I always was prior to being a grown-up, right? You know, as a kid, I always had those attributes. I always had that within me. And then you hit adulthood and you are shown what it means to be an adult. And if you desire to get ahead, if you desire to get this job or that job, or this position or that position, then you must behave this way. Here's your box, stay within it, and you will move ahead.
Right.
And so I did. I started to conform to the box so that I could meet the regulations and have those experiences. And I'm grateful that I did, and I'm grateful for all of the amazing opportunities I was given by some super amazing people in my life. But once I was in that box, I was like, oh my gosh, this does not fit. It doesn't feel good, because I don't have the opportunity to connect with the people that I'm meant to not even necessarily lead, but guide. These people are skilled. They have worked hard to get to where they are too. So why am I telling them how to do what they know how to do? Why am I not there to create pathways to make it easier for them to do what they're meant to do? That should be my role. And so when that connection, because of the box I was in, was not allowed, it just woke me back up. I was like, I can't do this. And then there was a moment where I was told I had to let someone go for standing up for what they believed in. And they didn't do it in a negative way. They didn't do it in a harsh way. They were honoring of everyone involved. They simply spoke their piece and what they believed in. And because they did it in a context where egos didn't feel good about it, I was told I had to let them go. So that's again where, don't be connected to them because you may have to end their livelihood in a heartbeat. And so I did what I had to do because it was a contract, made certain that that person had an avenue after, but also terminated my employment at the organization the very next day, because I had to look at myself and create that connection within and say, is this who I desire to be? Can I be this person who, well, first, do I stand a chance of changing anything within this organization? Can I shift anything? And the answer I knew in my soul was no. Like, the structure was the structure. Again, not good, not bad. It was where it was, and it fit for that organization. Okay, so if I'm not going to change something within, then I need to change something within me. And so the best thing I could do was remove myself from that situation and focus on changing what was within me and create that connection to who I knew myself to be. And that's the journey I started on.
What an interesting point you bring up with all of that, because, and I want to dive into this more, because you just hit, and never really thought about it, like, with all of that amazing perspective you just shared, and what really inspired you to not only kind of bring your childhood back in and say, this is who I really am, and apply this as adult, which is amazing. But what you said about going into an organization and changing it from within. I mean, how often do we see books or movies or stories about people who want to go into an organization and make a change from within? It's very common. Like, we're aware that that's a thing. But why don't we apply that to ourselves?
Yeah. It's very important. And yes, it is helpful to go into an organization and change it from within. But if you're not strong enough within to handle all that will come at you as you do that, then there's a high probability that that organization will change you instead.
Right. And that works on a personal level as well. Right? I mean, that's how influenced we can be when we're not aware within ourselves, and creating that depth of connection and that strength and foundation of who we are, you know, obviously allowing ourselves to evolve, because we're not like a static individual for the however long we're alive, right?
Yeah.
We're not just one way. We have to allow room for growth and evolution and movement, steps back, steps forward, etc. Because we are flowing. And the universe is ever expanding, and so should we be. But at the same time, we can determine our direction. And it's hard to really know where we desire to be and determine that direction if we aren't aligned with who we are. And I feel like that's where you and I really connected. And when I saw that in you, when I've been fortunate to be around individuals who, have been successful, mainly monetarily. And, I'd always look up to them and see what they just, okay, well, how did they get to where they were? Then I'd look at their family life or other aspects of their lives and is very, very different than that aspect. So I was like, it was very confusing. Did I have to sacrifice other areas or only be successful in one area? And why is success then a broad stroke for all of that? That didn't align. So when I met you, I saw that success was in all areas of your life. And it was not boastful. It was very humble. It was not outside to in, it was inside to out. It was centered and it was loving. It wasn't, oh, look at me and what I can do. It was, this is just, I am. This is just who I am. And that was it was just so much peace and joy in the state of your being. And then you allowed that state of being to direct into your doing. And I hadn't seen it that level. And so that's And that I feel after observing you, not only as a mentor, not only as a best friend, not only as a lovey. It's, to this day, it's still extremely inspiring. And I feel like I'm like the luckiest fly on the wall that I get to watch and see you grow still in that, and pull from this inner strength to inspire through action. It's like when you provide purpose and intention, everything you do therefore becomes purposeful. So it's not about finding your purpose or anything like that. It's really about being it, because then you don't have to find anything. You just are your purpose. But all of that starts from the source thing, which is inside. It is that strong foundation.